Okay. Oh my gosh. Technical difficulty after 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 technical difficulty. We're here. But let's go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. And now my camera's not working again. You know what? It's just one of those days, guys. You know, sometimes in life, everything's working out for you, and then sometimes in life it's not working out for you. But I've got a show planned for you guys, and I got things set up for today, and I'm sorry that I'm like 20 minutes late. This is a part of life, isn't it? I hope you guys have a great day. This is the Derek O'Shea Show.
Welcome to the revolution.
Come on, man.
Oh, let me fix my camera one last time. You know, this is what happens when you rely on cheap apps and you use your phone as a camera. It's just part of life, guys. It's part of freaking life. And I am currently live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, all the goods, all the things of the day, all the things of all the lands. I hope you guys are having a great day. Let's get started, as I'm already currently late. This is breaking. Donald Trump and his legal team will likely seek a court order to force the FBI and Justice Department to turn in over a physical copy of the search warrant, the affidavit, and the complete inventory of what was taken in Mar-a-Lago. The story is currently developing. So, there have been reports about this search warrant and stuff like that and being sealed and not being allowed to look into it. And they just raided the place without... And they also... I've seen reports about them being told to turn the cameras off, but then Mar-a-Lago staff saying, no, we're keeping the cameras on and stuff like that. This is developing. We will get down to the bottom of it as Trump is in New York over a subpoena. I mean, it's one thing after another with that dude. It's like, it's one of those things, if they don't find anything to nail him down with, to lock him down with on charges on something by now, it's just, it's past being silly, but it's further than that now. It's just ridiculous. But this is breaking. Continue to go down as we go down the rabbit hole of different things, different clips I have queued up for you guys. Here's the next story. Here is, speaking of Trump and the FBI, and here's MSNBC anchor commentary. Here we go. Trump's politicizing the FBI raid on his home. Imagine Trump politicizing it. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Trump politicizing it? Or is that exactly what's going on? Let's listen to this clip. Here's MSNBC speaking on behalf of the FBI raid.
Short-fingered vulgarian, Spy magazine, which he once co-edited, called him. You know, yesterday, the DOJ did not make this public. They did not publicize this search of Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump did. And it seems to me, for the reasons that Joyce is kind of implying, that's what this is all about. Trump took this public because he thought it was in his interest to, not just to spur these conspiracy theories, but then to put pressure on the DOJ. What would they say? There's nothing they could say that Donald Trump and the right wouldn't make part of their narrative. They'd be attacked for breaking with policy. They'd be attacked for dirtying up Donald Trump, no matter what the words that came out of their mouth are.
Well, and let's remember,
You crazy
Short-fingered vulgarian.
Hey, seriously. The way the corporate media, the press, treats Trump, his supporters, people on the right, and overall people on the left too. It's like they treat you like an abuse victim where if you are saying, hey, you're actually hitting me and these are actually happening, they're like, what's your problem, man? Why are you complaining about this? You need to just take it. Like, imagine. I'm just. It's sometimes hard in this show to wrap my head around corporate media and their thought process, because he knows he's clearly lying and he's clearly being political in the finest, and he's clearly just being ridiculous. Because imagine if they're basically, oh, what up, Giovanni? What's up? Sorry I'm late today. My freaking camera just decided I'm not gonna work, and so it took me obviously 20 minutes of restarting my computer, restarting my phone, because I use a cheap app on my phone to make a camera, because I'm not gonna pay $500 or whatever for a good webcam that doesn't look like crap, and I can use my camera on my phone, but apparently it's not that great. But I just want to hear this clip one more time, because it seriously, sounds like somebody who's abusing their victim, and then the victim speaks out, and they're like, why'd you do that? You didn't have to go and publicize everything that's going on. You should just take it and shut your mouth. Like, seriously, this is the most cringiest. You're even more late. Okay, I didn't know if... I always wonder if people are like waiting. I don't know. I don't know. I think I put too much pressure on myself, where I'm just like, I gotta be on time. This is the job. All right, here we go. I need to hear this
Bulgarian, spy magazine, which he once co-edited, called him. You know, yesterday the DOJ did not make this public. They did not publicize this search of Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump did. And it seems to me, for the reasons that Joyce is kind of implying, that's what this is all about. Trump took this public because he thought it was in his interest to not just to...
Yeah, I know you are with a physically abusive boyfriend, but why did you have to take it public? Why did you have to go to the police? Why did you have to make a report? Why did you make a content creation about it? Just take it.
For these conspiracy theories, but then to put pressure on the DOJ.
And I love that he calls it a conspiracy theory. That's such a wink and a nod to the left of like just shutting down speech, censoring speech, and telling your opponents whatever they believe is just a conspiracy. I don't have to actually argue it or state facts or citations or give resources and stuff like that. I'm just going to say these things. And if you disagree with me, you're basically a conspiracy theorist. You're basically just a nut. All right? You're just crazy. We got to put you in a little conspiracy bin. Yeah, exactly.
Jay, what would they say? There's nothing they could say that Donald Trump and the right wouldn't make part of their narrative. They'd be attacked.
There it is again. Donald Trump and the right making part of their narrative. That's right. It's not real. It's not actually happening. It's not over the top. It's not insane. It is just part of their crazy conspiracy narratives. Like, I don't understand how somebody leftist will listen to this on MSNBC and just like, yeah, makes sense. That is bullcrap. I know. This is like, we just live in such a fantasy silly land. If you listen to this and agree with him, I don't know. For breaking with policy, they'd be attacked for dirtying up Donald Trump, no matter what the words that came out of their mouth are.
Well, and let's remember, these
short finger.
This clip is just too much. But you need to hear that, because this is what they're saying. They're literally saying about the raid, the FBI raid, it's not political. This is all logical. Yeah, we're not going to release why we were going. We're not going to tell anyone why we're going. It's very secretive. And the fact that Trump is actually talking about he's the one being conspiracy theory. He needs to just sit down and take it. It's like all these new people who are evangelists for IRS all of a sudden. My comments have been loaded with people talking about what's wrong with funding the IRS. Oh, God. Tell me you've never been audited without telling me you've never been audited. The gaslighting and psychological engineering is getting out of hand. It really is. But they are at the point now where they are so freaked out by the midterms and Donald Trump potentially running again and getting rid of draining the swamp. I don't know. I don't put too much stock in that, but you think by now he would be like, all right, we need to get rid of these things, but that's why they're gaslighting so hard. They will lie straight to your face because people believe it, and they're just like, yeah, those people on the right, those people that are voted for Trump, those people are just so psychotic, and we need to get rid of them. So that's what ultimately it goes down to. And I saw this clip today, and I don't know if you guys saw this clip, but it is hilarious. This man is naked in, I believe, Florida. Yeah, of course. Why do we have to assume otherwise? But here we go. And then I'm going to get into some other, like, more serious clips of the day. Okay, here we go. Push-ups in the middle of the street. Ooh, 1 hour push-ups. Oh, look like he's butt naked in Florida, walking around making Wolverine signs. Man's about to do some push-ups. Now he's walking back. What is going on? Spider-Man fan? Yeah. I want to see him like go. Maybe I think he just now realized what he did was just crazy. He's like, my bad. Hey, what is going on? He's got a nice car.
Central, 51 hour coming off.
Got a nice Camaro.
I copy.
Oh, now he's just laying down in his clothes. Here come the cops. Oh, he's very spread eagle. They're like, I don't want to arrest him. You want to arrest him? I don't want to touch that, bro. No thanks, dude. I seriously love when people just like lose their marbles like that and just go off the rails. And then when the cops come to arrest them, they just politely go to the ground and just wait. I'm just like, wait a minute. Where was all that energy 5 seconds ago? That was nuts. Oh, it just gets better. So I had to restart my computer. So I have to like reframe everything.
One is considered the
I don't know if you saw this clip today of Fauci kind of talking about COVID, and he makes like a COVID origin joke in the middle of the interview. My favorite is like looking at this. If you look at what's going on right here, we have such a weird psychosis. Hey, what up? Oh, thanks for the subscriber. I can't even read it. Oh my God, it's gonna go away. Proto. My favorite is we have like such a weird psychosis where like in the theater, the two oldest people in the audience, well, maybe except for this guy right there, but are all wearing masks. All the audience members are wearing masks, but the old guys up the front, like Fauci, aren't. Like, this is still happening. A manager at a retail store that I go to all the time that I'm friends with, he still wears his masks. It's August. I don't know. He wanted to make snow angels in the cement. Imagine if he did. Imagine if he was making snow angels in the middle of that Florida cement. All right, here we go. Here's Fauci just mocking the COVID origin. Is it funny? I'm not sure. We'll find out together.
We're at the epicenter of the initial outbreak. WA1, Washington 1, is considered the ancestral model strain. This center.
I developed the ancestral model. I created it.
That's right. You let it loose.
I was in my kitchen.
You let it loose. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was told for years on years on years by the left that it's not funny to make COVID jokes because people are dying. God. Don't you love how all of a sudden they're okay with making jokes like this? And you're just like, what the... But here we go. I just want to keep listening. The fact that he has like the audacity to say this is hilarious. Just shows how pompous he is. But he, and arrogant. No, Fauci. No one thinks that you made COVID in your home, but that's hilarious. But let's talk about gain of function. No!
Gain of function. Here we come. You're making aranja, Italian meatballs, and that's a gain of function.
I could get emotionally damaged. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, the whole triggering thing. If you're triggered, turn off my show. These people that like get triggered by things, it's the same thing. If somebody like is annoying to me in the comments, I'll just block you. it's not me being triggered. I just don't have to deal with you. That's how real life works. If someone's being a douchebag to you in public, you just walk away. You don't make a video about it, complaining about it, saying you're triggered and you gotta like freak out and have emotional damage and sue people. You just turn around, walk away. That's all you have to do. All right, there's Fauci joking about COVID because you're not allowed to joke about that. And then here's another clip from Fauci
Mask
today.
in an indoor.
And I'm sorry that I'm even bringing up Fauci because, God, you and I are both bored of even hearing this bro's name. But here's Fauci talking about freedoms again.
When you tell people they need to mask in an indoor congregate setting when you're in a zone.
Like everyone in the audience except for you two, because you're above your own critiques, you're above your own suggestions. I don't know. It's like me telling people, like, if I was a fitness trainer and I just told people they got to eat healthy, but I was going home and smashing Krispy Kremes all day. Like, what the frick? Yeah, I'm sorry, Giovanni. It is you, Fauci. Also, I just want to remind people that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if there's ever a moment where you're like, he seems to be talking to somebody that's not there, it's somebody on a different channel. All right, I'm going to keep listening to this. I just think it's funny that he's talking about freedoms and stuff like that while he's being free and no one else in the audience is being free. And I love, too, like the idea that all these like really academic and experts of the field come to this to listen to the great and powerful Dr. Fauci. And that they are going to show their allegiance by wearing their mask in front of him, like, while he's not wearing a mask. So obviously there's not science behind anything they're doing. They're just like, I just want to show you that I'm not one of those freaks on the right.
When you tell people they need to mask in an indoor congregate setting when you're in a zone that has a high dynamic of infection, and that is looked upon by a lot of people, not everybody, as an encroachment on your freedom. We've never had that before. It's almost inexplicable.
Right.
When you tell people they need to mask in an indoor
it's looked on by a lot of people, not everybody, as an encroachment on your freedom. That's right. Only those people who really like being free care about freedom, like me. Hashtag Freedom Caucus. I'm here for that. That's the more I hear about that, the better.
There are some reports.
And then here is, I'm sorry I have to keep loading this. Again, I was late because my freaking camera wasn't working. And and now I'm having to reload all my tabs. Story of my life. But here's Pelosi, the great and powerful Pelosi, talking about taking a page out of Joe Biden's book and bringing her son to Taiwan. Why?
There are some reports that your son was on this trip with you.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
What was his role?
His role was to be my escort. Usually we invited spouses. Not all could come, but I had him come, and I was very proud that he was there, and I'm thrilled, and it was nice for me.
Did he have any business dealings?
No, he did not. Of course he did not.
Of course he did not. And also, I don't do insider trading. Shut up. Next question. God. She's like, Joe Biden is the best president, and we love nepotism. Hook our family up. No. Yes, we just bought a bunch of, call options on NVIDIA, but it's not a business thing. We're just doing things.
All of the pandemic stress and strain.
And let's keep some of the COVID stuff going. I want to start with COVID, then we'll get to the next one. More like a page out of a 2-page pamphlet. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here is the American Federation of Teachers. And again, as always, guys, these clips are all from today, and so I like to organize all the clips I find interesting throughout the day, any stories I find interesting, any stories especially that are different than any other podcast that I've seen or read about today. I I don't like to be another podcast that's just going to reiterate things that you potentially already heard all day. It's not my style. I try to be different, try to bring up different stories that I find, different clips that I find, and bring that to your attention, because I think there are a lot of interesting stuff that goes missed throughout the day because a lot of popular podcasts just pick the top story. And I think there's so much more going on that potentially the top story is taking you away from what's really happening in the world. So here's another clip from the day. Here's the American Federation of Teachers president of school. And she's talking about staff shortages. I can't figure out why they would have staff shortages, but let's listen.
You have all of the pandemic stress and strain, particularly that kids are coming in with greater needs because of 2 years of disruption. You have...
We will not know the complete ramifications of what we did to the younger generation by shutting down schools and locking them out and then putting them on Zoom and letting that be their only way of communication between each other and between teachers, and then putting masks on them and keep making them socially distant and stunting any emotional development and also like psychological and just like language, speech, math, whatever. We will not know that for a while. And I think a lot of teachers are coming to realization of this. Even some of my friends that are teachers that are on the left were starting to actually acknowledge a lot of the damage that we potentially did to all these kids. And when I say potentially, I mean most likely. I just don't know the number of children that are highly affected. And I think the number will be staggering. I think we're going to have an entire generation of kids who are just a little bit slower on standardized tests or a little bit behind. Like they won't read at their level or do math at their level because I was a teacher when the pandemic first started, and the grades we were giving to lackadaisical work that we were forced to give, and it's just ridiculous. We were allowing the kids to get away with like murder as far as like assignments, and because we felt bad for their situation. And I mean, why wouldn't you? You have to have compassion and empathy for a kid in that situation, but then it's not very compassionate or empathetic to allow people to scapegoat through life. It's the same thing how I look at the homeless drug epidemic that people call it just homeless. It's also drug epidemic and stuff like that. We think that allowing people to be on the street and use and abuse heavy narcotics and heavy drugs, like this is compassion. This isn't compassion. They're really giving kids giving kids a ready-to-wear, one-size-fits-all narrative to reshape their minds, accepting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they were also retraining kids to look to government for answers. I mean, that is the ultimate goal of the left, and not the goal of the right. The right's more like look to your parents, look to your foundations in life, look to your family, look to your religion and the other side is let's be yourself, but look to the government for your answers and for your hope. But here, speaking of hope, here's Kamala Harris talking about how great the jobs report is.
Just reflect on the past 18 months. In those 18 months, our nation created more than 9 million jobs, making up for every job that we lost during the pandemic. Today, just reflect on the past 18 months. In those 18 months, our nation created more than 9 million jobs, making up for every job that we lost during the pandemic.
Imagine actually believing this. You created the jobs. The gaslighting never stops with these people. Here we go as we continue down the gaslighting route. As we have Biden today announcing 0% inflation for the month of July. That's right. I know you making stuff up is always, yes, thank you, Giovanni, exactly. Imagine actually believing some of these lies, but here's Joe Biden right now.
Before I begin today, I want to say a word about the news that came out today relative to the economy. Actually, I just want to say a number. 0. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. Here's what that means. Well, the price of some things
Here's what that means.
went up last month. The price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, 0 inflation last month. But people were still hurting. But 0 inflation last month.
I think they're trying to make this 0 inflation a talking point. It's just like, did you hear that Joe Biden said we had 0 inflation? He's just saying it hasn't risen more, but that might be true. But inflation is already staggeringly high. So I don't care if it hasn't risen. If it's still high, it's still high. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, next clip. It's amazing. Okay, here's the perfect thing of what I found. I found this tweet. Inflation was at 0% in July. That's what he's talking about. Inflation isn't a recession. A recession isn't a recession. Gas prices are Putin price hike. When they go up, and Joe Biden's doing when they go down. We won't raise taxes or audit anyone making under $400K. The administration has nothing but spend as Americans suffer. Exactly. It is a play on words. It's 100% a play on words. It's 100% doing what people do in statistics or doing what experts do is they take a little piece of the pie and then they write an entire narrative about it. And they don't give people the whole picture, because if you were to give people the whole picture, they would actually see how terrible of an administration and what's going on. Here's another example. Another month of high inflation under Biden. Overall CPI is 8.5% since last year. So we need to factor that in. You can't just say it's 0% for July, which is just so fantastic. We're still at 8.5. And is it 8.5 or is it much higher? And I seem to believe we're at more at like 14 to 15% inflation. Gas is 44% up, 44% since last year. Since under Biden. I keep wanting to call Biden Obama. Meat, poultry, and fish 9.3%. Fuel oil 75.6%. Milk 15%. Eggs 38%. And I eat a ton of eggs. I eat 4 eggs every morning, praise God. And I have felt that burden. Baby food, 15%. Coffee, 20.3%. Public transportation, 19%. Airline fees, 27.7%. Real average earnings, down 3%. Yeah, how is that real average? Wait, because Biden said today that wages are up. So how is real average earnings down?
The economic plan is working. And second is building an economy that will reward work. Wages are up this month, provide opportunity, help the middle class, and still have work to do. But
so wages are up despite inflation being 8.5%. Yes, you got a 2% raise at work. Awesome. But 8.5% inflation. Thank you, Obama. God, I keep calling him Obama. God. Imagine touting... I've seen people on the left sharing this clip and just like saying Biden boom and stuff like that, and I understand the lady in the red better. Yeah.
The economic plan is working, and second is building an economy that will reward work. Wages are up this month.
By the way, I can't turn them up any louder.
Help the middle class and still have work to do, but we're on track. The second point I want to make is we need to pass the Inflation Reduction Act right away. That's the most consequential thing that Congress can do to keep our progress on inflation from getting better, from getting worse, keep it moving in the right direction.
I'm sorry, what?
On inflation from getting better, from getting worse, keep it moving in the right direction.
Oh, it's not the volume. I know. I got it up as high as possible. So real average hourly earnings is down 3%. Yes, you're making $15, $17 an hour, but you can't use that money to buy more like you used to. And that's always been the problem with raising a minimum wage. When you raise a minimum wage, you have to raise everything else in a business to help pay for that. The entire point of a minimum wage, it's a starter job. It's what you get in high school. It's what you get starting out in a company to prove your worth, and then you rise up in the company. The goal is not to stay on minimum wage unless you're in and out of jobs your entire life. That has more to say about you than it does about a company, but whatever. There is Biden, and then here is a senior advisor for Biden he came on and he talked about the IRS, also inflation. Let's listen to this. This should be a juicy.
Economists, you've been covering this for decades. So has inflation peaked? When you look at all these numbers, you say you hope so, but I'm asking, when you look at your own measures.
First of all, I love that he said that I hope so. At least he's more honest.
Inflation peaked. When you look at all these numbers, you say you hope so, but I'm asking, when you look at your own.
With inflation, people are getting their wages reduced in a very unfair, sneaky way. Exactly. Which is exactly what they do when they raise taxes on the rich. And people like clap it, and they're like, why wouldn't you be against this? Why would you not be for this? It makes sense. They get away with whatever. But here's the thing. Write a better tax code. But these politicians specifically write poor tax codes so they can keep their rich friends rich. Let's be real about that. Also, when you tax the rich, it ultimately is a tax on the poor, because the rich then raise prices on everything because they own most of things and they have most of the businesses. So inflation is the cruelest tax on the poor. But it's just like, you can't cripple rich people. They'll just take their money elsewhere. They'll take their businesses elsewhere. They don't just put up with it. That's why they're rich. They're smart. God.
Measures and data. Do you believe that inflation has peaked, or should the American people be prepared for it to go back up again?
I think that if people were looking at where we are right now with what experts think and more signs of slack, there is lots of expectations, and lots of experts think it's going to moderate. As the president says, it's an uncertain world. We didn't expect Putin to invade Ukraine and roil energy prices. So you never want to give guarantees. Yeah. I think there are a lot of signs that we are moderating, and I think today showed some very positive signs in that direction.
As we've talked about,
there's no guarantees.
It was supposed to be transitory, so now we're still living with it. And I'm just asking, you were able to say that back then, and I'm trying to figure out if the White House economic advisor believes that we're peaking. Let me ask you this: with regard to gas prices,
I think that when we look at things, we look at what all the experts in the world, the smartest people in the private sector, yes, we look at what they think, and in around May, June last year.
Yes, I'm an expert, but shut your mouth.
Everybody was projecting that prices were going to go down significantly, but then again, unexpected things happen. Well, almost everybody.
I'm just asking you to own it, to say, here's what I think.
Delta, Omicron, Putin, drink. It's just all BS. It's senile advisor. He's just playing politics, and the fact that people are willing to play politics with inflation is sad, and it just shows you exactly how they view the poor, how they view people like you and me, people that are struggling right now, aren't living the American dream as you should be able to, as they say. Again, I can't reiterate this enough. Inflation is a cruel tax on the poor. And so if it's already a cruel tax on the poor, and now they want to increase taxes on the rich, it's just a double whammy for the poor. It's not good. I know that the rich get away with so much more than the poor as far as not paying their fair share and all this stuff like this, but they also create a lot and they do a lot. So maybe, just maybe, we should write a better tax code that fits on one sheet of paper that no one can scapegoat. I don't know, a flat tax, a sales tax only. I don't know. But our tax code is not good. And so just saying we're just going to go after rich people more, no, they'll just find a way to get around it again. And remember, it's the rich people that put a lot of these politicians in office. So politicians, you bet your bottom dollar, will tell them how to evade it. We'll help them out. It's just so silly. Poor are always left holding the bad. Exactly. It's like, are these politicians that like hate companies like BlackRock, hate corporations, stuff like that, and at the same time they take money from them. It's like some of these Republican candidates coming out and talking about censorship from Google and stuff like that, but at the same time they take contributions from them all the time, and then they have people in their so it's just politics at its finest, and in the end the poor lose out in the end. Okay, here's a Biden expert, as Martha called him, but apparently he's not, on the IRS. Our whole reality is rigged, and it's an artificial construct to benefit a few people. That is a very black pill statement. Yeah. I force myself to believe in the dream because I want to stay in a white pill moment, because if you don't have hope, then violence comes, I'm not encouraging or telling people to do it. Far from it. When people don't have hope, bad things happen, and that's just the reality of life in general. You can have hope in some of the darkest and the deepest chasms in life, but if you don't have hope, shit, it's no good. All right, here we go. Biden is senior advisor.
If you're a border official and you can barely get your job done and people are overrunning the border, right? And you are begging for help on that southern border, what do you say to that Border Patrol official when you are telling them that you're going to add tens of thousands of people at the IRS, but you're not going to add to you're not going to go down there and help them out?
I think those are all reasonable issues on the border security. I'm not going to pretend that that is my area of expertise. Mm-hmm. What I can tell you is that the experts and the former IRS commissioners on tax enforcement do believe that people at the highest incomes often use very sophisticated measures to not pay their taxes, and we have to make.
Yes, we know it's not very sophisticated. They have an accountant. They have a CPA. They have lawyers. Reading, it's not like this, how are they doing it? It's so hard to comprehend.
Make sure that in the public sector, we have the sophistication and personnel.
Hey, Kaylon, what up? Hi, everyone.
A lot of experts
everybody pays the border, their fair share.
Who would, for decades, who will also tell you that we've been falling down on the job there, too. So, and that's a big concern to a lot of people, and it might be a bigger concern than adding people at the IRS, but we'll see.
I had so many people comment about how great the IRS is. And speaking of how great the IRS is, I don't know if you saw this report coming out today. This story, this was a little doozy. Apparently, guns, body armor, spy gear. Here's what the Biden beefed up the IRS investigation unit will pack. And this came, I think I pulled the clip from their website before they took it down. They took this down. I'm not making it up. They took this part of the website down. This is from the IRS. So I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. This is not some secret files. This is what happens. They put crazy things up. People find it, clip it, and they're like, oh, shit. Get rid of it. The IRS put up a thing, and here are some of the major duties. Adhere to the higher standards of conduct, especially in maintaining honesty and integrity. Imagine the government asking for honesty and integrity. That shouldn't even be on there. It should be like the opposite. If you want to work in the government, you have to be a good liar. Work a minimum of 50 hours per week. Oh, no. After that, millennials are like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. Which may include irregular hours, be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends. Okay, that's where I draw the line. Maintaining a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. Are we talking about the IRS right now? Or are we talking about a police force? Oh, God. Yeah, and again, there are still people out here that are IRS apologists all of a sudden. They're like, yeah, Biden's doing a good job. We need to have a IRS army. I continue. I like the maintaining a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. Have you not heard anything? You're fat-shaming people right there, okay? I have a disease, and I can't stop it. Since the FBI did the raid on the future, raid in the future, FBI not be welcomed in other countries. Extradition will be painful for DOJ and other agencies. Oh, yep, very true. Sounds like more hostile IRS. Exactly. Here's another part. Carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. I thought we were just talking about money. We're just dealing taxes. We're going after the rich. Be willing and able to participate in arrest, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. So the IRS is about to go on an 87,000 employee hiring spree. This is from Daily Wire. And many other new tax collectors will be packing heat while they hunt for money. The agency just got $80 billion cut by President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Nothing says inflation reduction like putting a bunch of money in places. The Inflation Reduction Act is the biggest oxymoron, the biggest lie ever, which will be roughly doubling its ranks by 2031. So many people came on my chat feed and was just like, why aren't you for funding the IRS? Rich people are getting away with murder and they can get... No. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with our tax code. But again, this is why you don't argue with 12-year-olds. More than half go to enforcement-related efforts, which includes hiring special agents who the agency's job description says will carry a firearm, will use deadly force. But there's a part in here. I forget where it is. Okay, here's this part. This is super weird. The IRS bought $700,000 in ammunition earlier this year. See, when I think of the IRS, I just think a bunch of nerdy dudes, probably slightly overweight, that sit in front of their computer all day and are basically accountants, and they read your books. And then they just make sure what your income reflects what you say your income is. And that's what they care most about. As always with your taxes, never lie about your income. It's the expenditures and the write-offs that we'll talk about later. But $700,000 in ammunition earlier this last year. How much more are they going to buy this year? This sounds like an army. This sounds like another FBI task force. It sounds like the Capitol Police. I don't know, like the Capitol Police going around to other cities in America and establishing bases and stuff like that, like home bases and stuff. Offices and cities are like, you're the Capitol Police. Why do you need to have a base here? But it's the police state. It's the same thing Ron Paul has always talked about. Rand Paul's always talked about. Most libertarians always talk about is that we're constantly arming the government against the citizens and taking the guns away from citizens. It's always a freaking loop. Most likely the IRS will have some accidentally discharge in the field. Oh, I'm sure. Well, this approach is here to double the IRS workforce, take the leash off, and see how much they can collect, Hitchman added. These people think that it's just about going after the rich. It's never been that. That's just what they want to sell you on, so you buy it. You're not going to read they know you won't read the bill. They know you won't go into the fine details. They know you won't, when people start being audited out of weird reasons, like a Lyft driver or Uber driver, you're going to see more of that. And the fact that they're arming them instead of just, calling the police to handcuff people. It's just the government, the federal government is becoming more powerful every day, and the local government is getting weaker by the day. And that's what they want. That's the big difference between a libertarian, conservative, Republican. More libertarian, conservative, Republican-minded is more of a local-based government, because a local-based government reflects your values and your culture more than the freaking federal government. That's why people on like Fox News and DC and stuff like that, they don't speak for you because they have no idea what you do every day. They have no idea about your culture or your problems in your community. That's why it's a big thing. Did you hear about Biden ordering 900 tanks to be delivered by December 24th, 2024? No, I didn't. Is that for domestic use? Interesting. Well, I know we're very depleted as we keep sending stuff to Ukraine. So, but just this is not about taxing the rich. Just want people to know that that's a lie. It's about so much more. If it was about taxing the rich, it would be they would want to rewrite a tax code, but it's not that. People need to get that in their head. This is not about taxing the rich. That is a lie. Speaking of a lie, I saw this clip today of Raskin, who's like one of my least favorite. But here we go. Here's just a silly clip for the day. Here we go.
I want to add my voice to the chorus of strong support for the Inflation Reduction Act. This is profoundly beneficial and long overdue legislation with powerful progress.
America can't afford to fight a war right now. No, we can't. For a lot of reasons. The military numbers are down drastically. Overall moral, there's not a lot of backing behind it. Americans don't even feel very close to one another. We are very divided more than ever. We're in high inflation, crazy debt. We're sending so much of our supplies to Ukraine and other places of the world. We're all over the world, and we're not very centralized here. There's just so much. They will need a draft. Yeah, they will definitely need a draft. And the kind of draft that they'll need to will probably be an interesting draft because of how overweight most people are. They won't be allowed to be in the army. They'll probably be forced to go on special boot camps to lose weight before they even join. I just want to listen to this, how silly this is. I want to add my voice
to the chorus of strong support for the Inflation Reduction Act. This is profoundly beneficial and long overdue legislation with powerful progress on climate rescue, on dramatically reducing prescription drug prices, on reducing inflation, and on making the largest and most profitable corporations in America pay their fair share in taxes. Mr. Pallone, I've not been here quite as long as you, but even in my third term, I can remember when our GOP colleagues would come here and they would openly deny the existence of climate change. They would reject the science, they would blast the scientists, and they would engage in climate propaganda and disinformation. But now, as the country is broiling under insufferable heat waves, as the West is consumed with forest fires, and the Midwest with drought, and the East and the South with record flooding and heat waves and record velocity storms and so on, they don't come forward and deny climate change anymore. They just don't mention it. They just don't talk about it, as if it should just be up to be the grown-up party, the responsible party that deals with the problem of climate.
He just called his own party the grown-up party.
As if it should just be up to be the grown-up party, the responsible party that deals with the problem of climate change. And so
when you think grown-up party, do you think the Democrats? God. Could you imagine actually believing that? And I'm not saying Republicans are adults either. I'm just saying, like, Democrats especially. Let's not get it twisted. These people are the most over-dramatic, over-emotionally charged politicians I've ever seen in my life, and they will flip-flop on issues on a dime and then call you crazy when you call them out, like a child. Army may have to recruit the juvenile center in the future. I wonder how much DOD. Oh, probably. Yeah, the Army would probably recruit they would just probably take the prison. It'd be like, what's that? Suicide Squad.
I'm proud to be supporting this legislation, which will cut climate pollution by 40% 2030. And I'd like to ask you, Mr. Pallone, whether people see climate change, who want to analyze it, tactic, really have any alternative to.
God, imagine being a professional and having that bad of internet. Oh, I wanted to bring this up today. I saw this going around the internet circles. I saw this guy on Timcast. I don't know if you ever watched Tim Pool. I sometimes watch him. Sometimes he annoys the crap out of me. But last night, this guy was on Timcast. It's called Official Square, a public square. It's right there. It's pretty cool. It's a new app. It's American Marketplace, but it's like freedom-loving kind of people. We'll see how good it goes. But it's a marketplace where you can buy stuff, sell stuff, put businesses up. But they're like, it's like the anti-woke business association. So you can go on there, you can look up different companies that are a part of it. So here it is, Public Square, connecting freedom-loving Americans. I don't know if it's going to do well. It might just turn into like Parler, where it turns into crap. No one uses Parler. I'm not totally sure. But it's kind of a cool idea. I went around today and messed around with it, the Public Square thing. It has different businesses within your area, and you can check it out. It's being created out of Carlsbad. Something to think about, something to check out. But I'm sure the more people that get into it. I did see there was a part where there was like you can be a part of groups, like political groups online. And I'm like, really? Why just make it like a Craigslist for freedom-loving Americans? I don't know. But you check it out. Super cool. I think that's a good thing. Because most of the companies nowadays are just so ridiculous that I don't want to support them. As they tell me that I'm a piece of crap. In the same light, they have child labor. Bill Malugin out of Fox News. This is the English version of the voluntary consent waiver. This is from Migrants and the Border. Consent waiver. Migrants sign before agreeing. Migrants. Is it migrants? Illegal immigrants? Illegal aliens? What do you want to call them? Before agreeing to take a Texas bus to Washington, D.C. and New York, Governor Abbott office tells me they say it's available on multiple languages. Allegations migrants are bused against their will are false. So apparently, I've seen that story too. I've seen it on many sources of saying that these people are just being bused without against their will. A Craigslist where I don't need to fear for my safety. Yeah, maybe. You never know. So many people get robbed by Craigslist. Say it's available in multiple languages. Official consent of transport. So there is official consent. I blank agreed to be transported by the state of Texas or designated agency officials located outside of Texas, such as Washington, D.C. or New York City. I agree to hold the state of Texas or its designated agency officials harmless of all liability arising out of the way of relating to any injuries, damages, or that may occur to be agreeing to be transported to locations outside of Texas. And here's the signature, location, department, date of birth. So they're also collecting all these people's names, which is interesting. Available destinations. There are 2 anti-American Instagram pages right now. That's horrible right now. Called the Baller Alert and Hollywood Unlock. It is anti-white. I'll check that out. Interesting. But here is the official consent of transport. It's funny. The available destination, Washington, D.C., it says, serves as the capital of the United States, where members of Congress and President of the United States are more immediately able to help the address the needs of migrants who have entered the country. It's almost like enticing for them to, like, oh, okay, they'll help me out. At the same time, they're like, oh, we need a federal emergency. We have 3,000 illegal immigrants. Like, Texas gets that in an hour. New York City has been designated as a sanctuary city by the city council and is providing shelter and food to migrants who have entered the country. I think they should add Portland to this list. Just in Chicago, all the cringiest, the ones. I think it's interesting that he's only choosing D.C. and New York City. Maybe it's because New York City has all the news agencies so that they can cry about it. Because, you know how news agencies are. They pretend like New York is the only city that has problems. All right, next. But I find that interesting because I did see a lot of people saying these people are bused without consent. And they're just forced on the bus. And they want to make you feel bad about it. They don't need coyotes anymore. Okay, yeah, exactly. They just walk across. I saw this today and I thought it was interesting too. What I thought $1 million would buy me as a kid versus what it actually buys. Oh, God. If this doesn't hit home, I don't know what will. And no pun intended. But didn't you grow up thinking $1 million would buy you a mansion? And what it really buys you is... Oh, God. So freaking depressing. The housing market is so ridiculously overpriced. I did see an article recently that so many homes are going down in price, but you have to factor in how much your down payment is now because of the interest rates are high. You can't buy that $400,000 house and have a $1,200 monthly mortgage. So, okay. I also saw this today. This is coming out of China. People using facial recognition software to buy products now. People are so they will just happily give away their freedom for convenience. It's unbelievable. You might say to yourself, it's just buying a Coke. Who cares? Sure. Facial recognition means no privacy. Exactly. I just saw a thing too with Roomba. Some company bought out Roomba, and now they're going to start selling your house square foot and stuff like that to other companies like the FBI and cops. So they have a floor plan of your house. Isn't that cool? They have an exact floor plan. They'll know where your couches are. They'll know where your appliances are, your tables are, so they know what to avoid and where you probably are hiding. So you'll never get away from them. There's a video of a facial recognition booth in Montreal, Canada. I did see that, Montreal, Canada, where people walked up, got scanned voluntarily the shape of a pyramid of an eye. I did see that. That was a really weird video. I didn't know what to make of that. I think it was an art piece installation, but just weird. I was just going on the IRS website the other day, and I had to fill out a profile for something, and they were like, you need to do a new facial recognition. And it was just so creepy. And so I exited out. Yep. And there she goes, paying with it with her face. And what's your social credit score? Are you a good little boy? Do you speak out against the government? Or do you speak nothing but good things? And then we have right here, I saw this. I found this interesting. Biden administration is proposing a new plan for weed smokers. No guns for weed smokers. Why? Medical marijuana, because they have mental problems. The Roomba has GPS. Is that true? I guess that would make sense. The Biden administration is defending a federal ban on gun ownership for medical marijuana users, urging a federal judge to dismiss the challenge of the state. Medical marijuana users should be prohibited from owning guns because the substance impairs their judgment, cognition, and physical coordination. Oh, unlike alcohol? And under the influence. Lawyers of Justice Department, Florida Agriculture, Nikki Fried, Democrat, is spearheading the lawsuit against the government and prohibition for the people to consume. They will do whatever it takes to get guns out of people's hands. And that's why I hate the red flag laws. It doesn't encourage people to, when they need help, to get help. You're making it worse on people, and they don't care. I mean, next you'll see a ban that's like, if you buy alcohol, if you drink coffee, if you work out. All right, next. Got to reload this bad boy. Oh, getting close to the end, people. Well, people that do weed get angry more often. I don't know. I know people that drink a lot of alcohol that get angry too. I don't know if you've ever been to a bar late at night, but a lot of people fight. So I think your personality gets maximized, or things that you might be bottling up when you take substances. It starts to make you feel a little looser, and then you become the person that in your head, the true person you are. I've seen way more people on alcohol fighting, so we can talk about angry all we want, I guess, but I've seen way more bar fights than stoner fights. I don't think I've ever seen a stoner fight. And if it was one, it probably ended quickly. Somebody probably just went to sleep. Joe Kent put out a big thing. I like Joe Kent. Seems like a good dude. I'm at the point now where it's like, if any politician has the cojones to go on a podcast to speak for multiple hours without interruptions, without a talking points, or saying like, you can't talk about these subjects, but just talks like a normal human being, I'm pretty much almost there to vote for that person immediately. Giovanni, you've seen stoners fighting? All right, I guess that's fair. I guess it doesn't matter. People still fight. I think people just like use excuses. They're just like, oh, the weed made me fight. It wasn't that I'm an angry person that bottles up all my emotions. It's the alcohol made me fight. It wasn't that I bottled up all my emotions. And I looked at that person kissing my wife, and I was just like, this alcohol's making me want to punch you. Joe Kent said, thank you to all my supporters and my Republican opponents. We fought a hard primary and emerged stronger as a party. Now we'll unify the nation back. I think he's part of the Freedom Caucus, which I enjoy. But he won, and here's his victory speech, which I enjoy. I like this guy, so I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear it with you guys. Are you guys aware of Joe Kent over the dumbest stuff? Yeah, everyone fights over stupid stuff. It's like, and especially people that have been in fights like myself. I never want to be in a fight as an adult. I got in fights as a kid, and they suck.
Joel, thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the PCOs. Thank you to the party. Thanks for having me. This is absolutely amazing to see all of you here and to see everyone engaged. I believe that this primary that we just had, our turnout exceeded the presidential race of 2020, which is pretty amazing. That shows you how engaged and how much energy there is throughout the district and throughout the country. This was a very hard-fought primary. And I think that's an absolutely good thing. That's going to serve us very well going forward, because steel sharpens steel. You train like you fight. The more that you sweat in training, the less you bleed on the battlefield. I feel very, very prepared to go forward and to fight everything that the far left and the administrative state are going to continue to throw at not just me, but all of you. And I will be honored to stand in the breach and fight with you for our country. Now, my opponents, the folks that ran against me, I am very honored that they have conceded and they're starting to rally around this effort, because this isn't just about me. This isn't just about Joe Kent versus any of the other candidates. This is about us, conservatives, Republicans, taking back our country. And so for those of you... So I want to say a very special thanks to Heidi St. John and to all of her supporters. We fought hard. Passions ran high, because both of us and both of our sides, our supporters, cared deeply about this district and about this country. And we put ourselves through the ringer, and we had a strong turnout on election day. Same thing with Vicki Kraft. Vicki Kraft jumped in and made both Heidi and I fight very, very hard for this, and made us stronger candidates and got more people involved in the process. And same thing, Leslie French got in, he brought in some folks too, and that was just one more angle of attack that we had to prepare for. Jamie Herrera Butler, well, Jamie brought a lot of money and a lot of resources to the fight as well. And she fought very hard. And so right now we have seen the full scope of what can get thrown at us and the unity that Republicans can have. I'm not very good at doing math, so I won't try and do it publicly. But if you look at the Republican turnout on that ticket, it will be an absolutely loud and clear message to Washington, D.C. and throughout this country that Washington 3 is one of the most conservative districts in the country. And that's all going to be possible because we're going to unite, and we have to unite. If you look at how high the stakes are, this isn't politics as usual. The other side, the far left, the globalists, the administrative state, they work in lockstep. They are very unified. They have an agenda. They're not playing politics as usual anymore. They're not trying to win over any hearts and minds. They're not trying to have the best argument. They are trying to radically change our country by seizing every single lever of power they have. And once they have control of that lever of power, they wield it against us. Whether it was the raid that happened last night at President Trump's private residence as a private citizen, exactly. Or whether it was the FBI counterterrorism task force going after parents that show up at school board meetings. The national security state has been weaponized against us at the behest of the progressive left and the globalists. However, we are what's going to push back against all of them, because we're going to get unified, and we're going to tell them that this ends. We are taking back our republic, and starting in 2023. So just like when I started, I want to earn every single one of your votes. I want to earn independent votes. We have a great opportunity to bring over people that once thought they were Democrats, that thought they were independents, into our camp, because it's clear right now there's two sides. One side wants complete and total control and will do anything to get it. And then there's us. And I want to discuss any kind of policy differences rigorously with all of you. So reach out to my campaign, reach out to me. I am more than happy to sit down and discuss any policy issues that any of you had. It was a hard-fought primary, and that's a good thing. Clark County especially, this is gladiator camp right here. You guys don't play around. We just saw that in the beginning, right? We don't mess around.
I like that. Any candidate that's willing to engage with the people that vote him in. I can mention that. All right. Finish with this clip today. And this is literally one of the funniest things I've seen in a while.
Salmon with griddled.
I like to end today's show with a laugh, and I hope you're ready to laugh too, because this is just so silly.
So there you have it, confit salmon with griddled vegetables.
It looks lovely. Yes. Woo!
And coming up next, Rag and Bone Man.
Oh. Honestly, I want that kind of applause for anything special I do in life at always. The longest, most uncomfortable applause ever. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Giovanni, thanks for being in the chat. Kaylon, thank you so much for being in the chat. Hope you guys have a freaking... I need more wiggle in my vegetables more. I know. Just vegetables and salmon. It just deserves... I don't think people get the praise they deserve when they cook a wonderful meal. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy, you guys. Love you guys. See ya tomorrow. Tell your friends and family about the Derek O'Shea Show. If you want to support me, go to buymeacoffee.com. Link is in the description below. Share this on all social media platforms. Give it a like, a thumbs up below. Helps me out. Comment below, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. All right. Bye-bye.